Very strong showing there for Mindfreak as they bounce back in this best of three series. And we are now tied up at one apiece, Vandy. It's one game to secure the, I suppose, leverage and the pride and the ability to brag to say we are currently, as it stands, the strongest team in the region. And, you know, that kind of mental aspect can definitely play havoc in some cases. But I feel like these two teams, knowing how evenly matched up they are, they've obviously scrimmed extensively against each other in the past. They shouldn't be too deterred by this one. Coming into this, though, it is that final map. It is going to be Sky Temple, and Crimson themselves have actually picked it. So looking to try and output some macro pressure. Last time they played this, Crimson did actually take the game. So we've seen Crimson show a fair bit of macro sort of play so far. I wonder if that is definitely going to be their way of trying to manipulate this draft and saying, look, we just want to try and out-macro you. If we know you want a team fight, well, we'll just, once again, never give you that opportunity.
Could do. I mean, I'm already just thinking back to the Intercontinental Clash when both teams came up on this map again, and it just turned into the most insane base race that we'd ever seen, with both teams just trying to outdo the other. I don't think we're going to be seeing that again tonight, at least I hope not, because, my goodness, that was ridiculous. But, yeah, it just, because Sky Temple, it plays more heavily into that macro, you can really utilize rotations a lot better. Globals play a big part in this, so if they're not going to be picked up, perhaps banned, we have seen the likes of Falstad coming back, as well as Dahaka just being very, very strong for reasons like that. And it does come down to that Phoenix, I think, for both teams. Do they want to pick him? Do they want to ban him? What's the real strategy going for this again? Is it going to be all in on that Wombo? Because we know this map is so much more focused around the PvE, the environment, I guess, because the objective can actually destroy your core right here. It's not all about winning those team fights.
Absolutely, Vandy. It's definitely a case of how you want to draft this one, how you want to approach it. And I feel like you can definitely draw a parallel between this and Battlefield of Eternity. And a big reason behind that is last time they played this, Mindfreak went for that first pick on Hanzo. Based on how strong he is at taking down those immortals, the same can then apply to taking down a boss, an easy camp, a giant camp, and sort of like looking to try and match that, say, global pressure that your opponent is trying to output there. Genji taking off the board here. Doesn't really have the strongest win rate in ANZ at the moment, 38%, but he's been banned away 20 times. No love lost there for the Reset Master, as this time Crimson do take a bit of time to think about where they want to go in this ban. Are they going to consider the Hanzo, or do they look to try and shut down the global pressure themselves?
Hanzo, we know the reason that makes him so good on a map like Sky Temple is that you can race for that boss quite easily. If you do win that one fight, it's very, very safe to take it out. They do fear the global a little bit more. So as I said, yes, Falstad's come back to the swing of things, but he's still not that great of a pick. Dahaka fulfills that global role so much more better and also gives your team far more utility.
Well, first pick is going to be the Phoenix, as you prophesized, Vandy. You've definitely been sliding into the DMs and getting the lowdown. You knew what was going to happen.
It had to be. I mean, he's just been the most defining factor in both of those games right there. We saw in game number 1, it was Muradin. Crimson tried to repeat. It's like whoever picks Muradin first will lose. If Crimson first pick Muradin, now they're going to lose. But not really. I mean, he's still a good pick. I'm just joking around here.
Everyone's like, I just like leave a dead silence, and you're like, oh, please, Skimmy, don't throw me under the bus.
I'm like, Skimmy, please.
Please back me up.
Having a bit of fun. He's judging me. Wow. Thought we were friends.
Absolutely. In Hero League, we're not, though. But coming into this one, Sky Temple, Crimson have not played a single game on this map so far, nor have they banned it as a swap for Mindfreak. They've only played it once this season, so it can be interesting to see how would these adaptations to these rosters, not only does the draft impact things, but with these new lineups and these new abilities to try and draft different heroes, how do they try and flex that might? They're not going to show too much to start off with. They are going to go for the Blaze as well as the Muradin, so two crucial heroes that empower the Phoenix, already denied away. But we mentioned, and we may even see a higher priority for that Thrall coming in here.
Thrall might come in here to just really start to set up the team fight. But as I said, it's not just all about that team fight right there. Blaze being taken away. The bunker was also, I guess, that defining factor in the fights that we saw on Towers of Doom. There was that one fight right there where Jesmez was really just trying to focus down John on the Phoenix. He just hopped into the bunker, and there really wasn't more that Jesmez could do while they were waiting for their cooldowns came out. And they just managed to just take him out for free right there. So to have the bunker on their side as well really helps, especially if you do have that salvo you're trying to run away from it. You can cancel that out by hopping into the bunker.
Absolutely. And I think if we try and read into the ban, or the actual pick, a little bit more, potentially is a way of them saying we're going to shut down any follow-up engagement that you may have, say a Tracer, say a Li Ming, and force you to try and match us on a different scale. But what does that mean? Well, with Genji and Dahaka taken off the board, Yrel does get to see the light. So yes, she will be shut down with that auto attack speed from the Muriden's Thunderclap, but she's still going to be able to jump across, do crazy things. I'm quite excited to see what build we do actually get here. If it will be the standard Divine Steed, or if we are going to see some crazy shenanigans, Vandy.
Have to wait and see. I think it'll depend on the rest of the picks that we do see coming in this draft right here. My question's on who's going to be the next ban coming out. As I said, Yrel managed to make it through. She was banned in both games. It was at Diablo now. So he still works very, very well on a map like Sky Temple, where there's plenty of walls where you can find a lot of value from the devastating charge. But also, maybe that comes to mind that they do or are thinking about running that Tracer again.
Yes, I was just going to say, took the words right out of my mouth. I'm thinking it's a Tracer potentially. It's a, it could even be anything that gets empowered by an Abathur, because I'm still thinking maybe they go and say we take away as many hard initiation, hard team fight sort of style of play heroes, one also to empower the Phoenix, and just try and out-macro. And I think that's really where Crimson's strength lies. So, Mindfreak have drafted 3 heroes so far that are fantastic for point control and definitely can execute those mercenaries quite well. But how much further can they adapt into this one? Speaking of those mercenaries, that was the Hanzo ban that I was wanting to see. It wasn't first picked, it wasn't prioritized, but it's definitely a heads-up adaptation.
He's still a very, very strong hero, especially on a map like this, as I said, just by having that threat. Also, the clear that he can bring to your team makes him very, very solid, good utility. But the Tracer there, it is looking quite nice, especially if it's going to be instead of the Tracer Tacita, Tracer Abathur. That still works very, very well. Still empowering, patching up Tracer's weaknesses of being so squishy. And also on a map like Sky Temple as well, we said that the map is focused in terms of you can utilize the objectives to really just end the game potentially. But Abathur, with that pesky little mule, you can heal up the damage done.
Yeah, the only hero in the game that actually still has that mule left. So it's definitely a strong advantage if you have a good grasp and control of the map where you can slow things down and they can't completely take down those structures. You can definitely patch things up and give yourself that second lifeline, which on a map like this, you're not going to find too often. There's the Li Ming, and that is the Deckard Cain. So we have our supports, but still that 5th pick flex, generally speaking, it could go any way. I'm assuming Li Ming is hacky here, based on the fact that he is the wizard god for this team. Still, obviously, the option is there for the Abathur.
It is, and speaking of slowing things down as well, Deckard Cain with Stay a While and Listen, I feel like that could really, really help as well. If you've taken a bad engage, taken a bad fight, Shad already showed how good he was in that first game at utilizing, knowing exactly when to hit that button to maximize the impact of it. So we'll be seeing it as well, especially you do have a lot of choke points on a map like this, when you do have the Yrel trying to dive in, or as well the Phoenix just also trying to push with that salvo. That can come in very handy. So already liking, there's adaptation in this game number 3. And generally you don't see the adaptations start to happen until like in a best of 5 series, which we don't have the luxury of tonight. Yeah. But already you can see how far these teams have come. Like they're really thinking about what they need to take.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up that point about the best of 5, because there's definitely teams that are out there that will look to try and push the envelope in game 1 and 2 and see what they can get away with, and then go, okay, maybe we play a little bit more standard now and play our game. And we got away with this, but we didn't work with that. So let's just draft this as a result. Johanna and Junkrat are the final picks. This is going to be John's Junkrat, undefeated in Phase 1. I believe it was 15-0. I remember asking him at the mid-season brawl, are we going to see any Junkrat? And he said, quote unquote, I don't want to ruin that win rate. So, he's coming into this spot looking to try and resurrect it. It currently is on a 100% win rate. So looking to keep that firm throughout the entire 2018 split. But this is the big one, Vandy, the 5th and final pick for Crimson. I mean, right now they're fully reliant on the Li Ming, so they need some kind of follow-up damage to that.
They do. They need some sustained damage. I'm wondering, because there's 2 huge tanks, just looking at them, are they going to go for a tank buster? Is Tychus going to make a resurgence? We've really seen him drop off, because as I said, mobility's really been the name of the game right there. Tychus, after he uses that dash, kind of a sitting duck. I don't think it'd be the worst, especially on a map like this, but what else would be really go? You still got Greymane. Don't really know. I don't really think anyone on the team likes Greymane.
Yeah, sure.
Zeratul. So it's all in on the burst then.
Yeah.
Stuff your sustained damage. We're all in on that burst. We want to pick a target and blow them up.
It's a comfort pick for Azure. He's only played it once this season, but he's definitely played it a lot in the past. So he's quite proficient with that hero, and allows them to have a unique strategy in the sense that they have a roamer now on this map, much the same way as you'd rotate with a Genji. So he's able to assist those lanes, and I mean, you may see a priority of him going to the top lane to try and match the Yrel to try and help out the Blaze. Or you may just, as the fights start to progress, just jumping onto that Phoenix, jumping onto that Junkrat, deleting them instantly, and giving Li Ming that reset just to keep cycling through. So it is a very all-in strategy, as you mentioned, Vandy. There is no clear direction when it comes to global, but it's definitely going to be a fact of who can, as cliche as it sounds, right, who can execute better.
No, it exactly comes down to that. Who can execute better? There's so many stopping tools on the side of Crimson to really just throw a span in the works and stop what Mindfreak are trying to do for them. But if they execute it wrong, or if they slip up at all, that's all it takes. Mindfreak have tons of damage. They have tons of control. And as I said, if they get that opportunity to use it, they'll go for it. Crimson, if they don't time it right, or if they miss the bunker, stairwell and listen doesn't really connect, that's where they'll really start to stutter and fall in this sort of environment.
It's a beautiful thing for you to have. I'm going to see if I can just rejoin in here and we can carry on from there. But I'll let you do the honors of a solo introduction. How about that?
No, I can hear you now, Skimmy. Oh, you've left the game. Okay,
I'm back.
Easy.
You got me confused now. Are you still on the loading screen or are you in? Because I am loading up.
Left, but that's fine. I'm going to start us off with Mindfreak while you get yourself settled. So that's going to be the blue side over here. We have Mad Hax playing Malfurion, Fat94 on the Johanna, John playing Junkrat, Vanilla on Phoenix, and Ryu playing the Yrel. And Skimmy, are you back?
I am back indeed, and I'm going to be looking at this team on the right-hand side, rocking those red banners. It is going to be Crimson's own Jesmes playing the Blaze, Shadow on Deckard Cain, Haki with Li Ming, KVA on Muradin, and Azure rocking and rolling with that pesky old Zeratul. I am looking to see how this all comes to light, how we can make things happen. Once again, Arsenal Synergy at level 1, it surely has to be that go-to talent. Now that teams and players have become proficient enough at using it and actually getting a value out of it, as opposed to just waiting on your auto attacks and the stutter stepping style play, is that high risk, high rewards.
It is. You need to pay attention to the cues, Skimmy, and if you're playing without sound, as Skimmy said in 2018, maybe just reevaluate what you're doing. Murad's Insight, Skimmy, no surprises there. I feel like that's the strongest level 1 talent that you can pick up at the moment for Yrel. It just gives you so much sustain in lane, especially if you are in that solo lane. Yeah,
as it stands, her Vindication, that's her Q ability. It does get interrupted and it doesn't actually go off. So there's a case to be made that if you have a heavy CC composition, a lot of her kit can then be nullified, but everyone's going to be keeping their eyes out for that Avenging Wrath, the ability to jump across, bunny hop, do crazy things, and with that receiving a significant buff this patch, almost doubling its damage. It's a big reason why she is now the go-to solo laner.
Yeah, you can just dive on that backline and really just start to create havoc right there and just pull resources in trying to peel. So Yrel, as I said, very, very strong ever since she did receive that rework, and teams have just really been finding her place in the meta.
So both teams are going to go for the standard 1-minute giant cap and look to try and get some pressure in the spot lane. It is a 2v1 to start off with. His Shadow is pocketing Haki. But as this game does start to unfold, we hit level 4, we start to transition from there. I want to see exactly how Azure and the Zeratul plays the map. Is he going to stick to a lane and just look to try and wave clear with his cleave? Or is he going to try and act as a mercenary god, or even just trying to aid a lane to try and beat that Yrel? And as it stands, we're just going to go for the back-to-back caps on these bruisers. And I mean, it's interesting to see how these metas do change, right, Vandy? There once was a time when you would time this out just before those shrines came about. Yeah. Nowadays, it's just like, look, let's get as much push as we can. And I think in part, a lot of that comes down to the fact that these night camps now provide that sort of armor aura, which is just so strong to push with.
They do, especially if you have a strong pushing team. There is an argument to taking the mercs a little bit early. The reason why you'd wait for the cap is because if you had someone fast that could clear it on their own, say, Sonya or someone that was quite capable, you could time it effectively, just draw one member right over there. But the way the meta's been shifting is that you really do see the solo laners, if one doesn't move, the other's not going to move either. So that's why you just take the camps while you have the time. And yes, it's going to be mirrored, but you just still see what value you can get out of it. And it means that if you do need to go to that team fight, it's going to be less value lost. You don't have to come back later and be like, oh no, the camp's pushing, we're going to lose value at top.
That's the one indeed there, Vandy. And by the time this temple is activated and completed, which is 10 seconds, those siege camps down below will be up and ready to cap again. So it just acts in a far more fluid manner, as after this first temple phase, seems to be looking to try and pressure that bot lane and get some pressure in terms of sieging. But as it stands, both the solo laners are going to stay to the top lane, with Mindfreak getting the better of that one, but Crimson capping the middle. No clear XP advantages, no first bloods, Both teams still trying to fill each other out, but KVA's had enough. He jumps in with the Stormbolt. Azure collapses too. The Whoop is fantastic here as Phoenix manages to jump away. And as a result, Mindfreak reclaim the temple.
Hacky gets dangerously low, just taking the poke from John right there. But Vanilla, he was the one that they all tried to collapse upon. But enough healing, enough sustain came from Mad Hacks, as well as the heals from Fat94 right there. Kept him nice and safe. Already an immediate rotation from Mindfreak as well to bolster up that top lane. They're not happy with just capping one. They want to get the majority of that top temple too.
That they do as well. They've gone for a 3-2 split with Azure constantly on that flank. He's always roaming around, looking to catch out any kind of member. Phoenix is pushing top lane, giving Ryu the free advantage of not only capping the temple, but they're not even missing the XP as well. And it is going to give them a very slight XP advantage. Nothing too major.
Crimson, they can finish off the middle temple as well, sensing that they saw two members up top. They could then reclaim the advantage, or reclaim that point right there. So as you said, just a trade once again. Both teams keeping up very evenly for that experience so far.
We've seen time and time again on a map like this, even Cursed Hollow, if you can get a very definitive start to the game and you can hit level 10 first, you go for that boss play. As it stands right now, it does not look like that is going to happen whatsoever, as the cycling down to bottom does happen straight away. Both teams picking up those giants. This time, you're going to see a lot more emphasis on actually trying to find some value from it, as all these shots, anything that happens to these towers and beyond, just makes it that much easier if you can actually gain control of that next temple.
Ready again. Vanilla being the target every time that they land. That bolt is going to be on Vanilla. Azure forced to blink away. They are losing these fights in terms of that sustain though. You can see the turn from Mindfreak. They have so much burst at their hands, and this is really what it comes down to right there. The peeling coming out. And also, when they do get the peel, then to counterattack with all that burst that they have, it's really something that Crimson need to be wary of.
Both teams still just cycling back and forth, back and forth. KV, every time he spots an opportunity to jump in, he is not afraid to pull that trigger. As Azure on that Zeratul is always waiting in the wings, and if that person does, for a sustained period of time, get stuck in place, Hacky, you just know that that Li Ming combo is coming across, it is going to find that kill. But as it stands still, it's almost like we've gone back to game number one, where it started off very slow, until a clear advantage can be met. And if it carries on this way, by the time this temple phase is active in 20 seconds, both teams will have those heroics up and active.
And then with the heroics there, that's really the team fight that we're going to see start to decide the pace of the game. Who's going to get that slight advantage? But also, once 10 is acquired, that boss becomes so much more threatening. We've seen Mindfreak as well, the way they like to play. If they get that experience advantage, they make it just a very quick play for boss and then just try to push off that to snowball the game to victory. But this time you can see, because Crimson been keeping up so well with experience, they're not able to execute that strategy.
That they're not, and if we take a second to highlight the Yrel build, it is going to be the standard that we've seen in ANZ as so far, with the Divine Steed at 7, the instant mount, as well as Ardent Defender, so a 3-second window in which you absorb damage, heal a portion of it, but you are still vulnerable to that CC, so a point to bear in mind. Definitely will bait out a lot of bursts if they try and target her, especially with the Zeratul and Li Ming.
A very strong target. Azure, you can already see, he's just always waiting off on the flanks. But he doesn't need to wait any longer because Mad Hacks now, he can go in safely.
Absolutely body. There's a Void Prison, there's a Stay a While listed. Everybody's locked in place. They get in, they get out. The Postal Service delivers, and it finds the kill that it does definitely need. But when those cooldowns come back off in a few seconds, expect to see them jump in once again, and that they do. KVO in with the impact. Unable to find a Stormbolt target. They may just peel away and say, look, let's pick up the temple. We've got our first blood. We've got our kill. We've got top lane pressure as well. Let's just slow things down.
Happy to slow things down. Mindfreak as well. They knew that they did not have their healer with them, so they immediately backed off, not willing to really force much more in the 4v5 situation. With that as well, because more deaths weren't traded, Crimson weren't able to go and make a play for that boss just yet.
That they weren't, and they did lose in terms of the minion pressure, so PvE was favouring Mindfreak in the top lane. Completely topped up here. It's going to force the Blaze to rotate through. Crimson do pick up their own set of giant camps once again, as is tradition. They're cycling off cooldowns when it's there. We've got to do it. And based on the fact that they know that Blaze is available, or not available really, they're just going to hard push bottom.
Right, Mindfreak, they spot the map and they want to put a couple more bits of pressure right there. Urel has gone top to answer to Jesmus, so it is a 4v4. Stay a while and listen does go out. Vanilla now first to lead. Riptide connects with KVA. It's not going to be enough damage.
Muradin so patient there, just waiting for Azure to come on in, and also waiting for Shadow to set things up with the stay a while and listen. And as soon as that went across, there was no chance, no ability to even use that warp to get himself out of harm's way. Straight deleted without Leeming even needing to become a factor. So the 4v4 strength does definitely cater to their strength, and as a result they are now 2 kills to their name and well on the way to hitting level 13 first.
Once they see that backline really just be exposed, it just takes that one sort of, that one bit of CC to land, and then it gets the ball really rolling for them before Mindfreak are able to disengage quite effectively, because they don't have any shields or anything like that. A lot of their cooldowns, it's just going to be the Blessed Shield to try and stop the momentum, but there's a lot of chain or really channeling that needs to go out. Tranquility, you also do have the Riptire. All that takes time to really just be effective.
Well, this is when the interesting shot calls start to happen, Vandy, when we start to split the map up. Temple to the top, Temple to the bot. And we have seen teams, if they do overinvest to that top Temple, just say, look, let's just bite the bullet, let's just go for a boss. And if we have a quick enough comp to do that, we can absolutely make that decision. In terms of who has a very strong boss control composition, I mean, it's not going to be the most direct smashing ability, such as a Greymane, a Valo, or a Hanzo. But point control will definitely cater to the ideas of Mindfreak with the Reptile, with the Concussion Mine, Steel Traps, Blessed Shield, and the Roots. There's a lot that they can operate with.
There's a lot that they can operate with. Same too does go for Crimson, but as you said, if it's around that boss and it's all centered in that one area, it definitely does favor Mindfreak. They just have so much more wombo. Trade now, so bottom for top, but as you said, not committing too many members right there. It's just Jesmez in that top lane, so Mindfreak still don't feel comfortable enough to make that boss call.
Yeah, Crimson have to keep a few members down here, just scouting out, acting as those mobile wards. And you can see KVA's posturing is straight in that brush. He knows what Mindfreak must be thinking, and they aren't going to fall for that trap just that easily. Zeratul still roaming around the map, sort of acting as that second Muradin ward, if you will. And it's just about getting vision at this stage, getting information, what you can work with, how we can shot call effectively. If you know where the members are, you can afford to make a play like such. You can afford to collapse and plan at that next step. And as it stands right, there has not really been too many misplays. It's just been a case of stun, kill, and Phoenix has been deleted. So you mentioned it being a very clutch hero in this situation, and so far Crimson definitely know that's the reasoning why.
That's the reason why. If it's not Phoenix, it has been that Malfurion that was also taken out Skimmy. But also KVA just anchoring in those bushes, as you said, to give them vision. So if there was going to be a boss play that happened, he would have immediately called his members off the Bruiser camp to come and contest. And Mindfreak, they know that as well. When you don't see those members, it's about gaining that vision. Ryu just being stunned now, and also just taking a little bit of return damage, but they're not going to go too deep. He still has that Ardent Defender down. So Urel can always be that, almost like Garrosh, where you think they're very, very low, then suddenly the armor kicks in, but in Urel's case, it's that Ardent Defender. Then suddenly she's just top right back up, and you're like, well, we thought this was an easy kill. We regret it now. It's not the case.
That they do indeed, as KVA spots John out in a bit of trouble. There's no fault to protect him. Azure is hunting for him as well. Reptile goes across, instantly decimated, but Azure jumps in. He jumps back out. The Void Prism landing onto 2. Mad Hax is out. And you got Johanna to the side, zoning on out, but it's just not going to be enough. Junkrat deleted. Instantly the bunker gets dropped. Instantly the preventive measure for any kind of counter engage. They hit 16. And I think what's really interesting from this map in particular, Vandy, or just from this game in general, is Crimson have just extracted out all the hype and all the energy and just said, look, Mindfreak, we know you want to team fight. We're never going to give you the opportunity. And that starts to play on their mental aspect. They start to get a bit frustrated, and you might start to see some uncharacteristic, unforced errors.
That's it. But also, they realized that it was John. So Junkrat, if he's got that concussion mine, it gives him a little bit of that mobility, yes, but otherwise he is quite mobile right there. Without the protection of his team members, that was just disastrous for him. You could already sense John being like, I wish I had the other heroic in this opportunity right here. Could have flown away to safety. It wasn't the case. Had to use the Riptide to try and stall, but team wasn't able to then capitalize. So team, like I said, very uncharacteristic in terms of just, you don't have the vision yet, you don't know where they are. You really need to respect the members of Crimson, especially because of that Zeratul factor. If you are isolated, you're the perfect target for that Zeratul.
So we may just see them wait once again for those ultimates to become available. Both Avatar and Void Prison had to be used in that engage, so up in 20 seconds roughly. And this is the Riptide up just about now. As it stands, Mindfreak have got a few shots over in their court. Azure isn't afraid to jump in and utilize that cleave and effectively have that wormhole as they get out of jail free card.
Ready now, still take a couple more temple shots. Now KVA getting amongst it. Stun goes out.
Salvo gets dispersed, but instantly they hop into the bunker, get themselves some armor, and also negate those shots. KVA is on the flank, looking to put some pressure down. That's going to be the Void Prism onto one. It's just a Yrel locked in there for the meantime. Azure is dropping very, very low. If they can try and take him out, this could spell disaster, but a 4-man sleep is fantastic by Shadow. He's done it all series long, but where is the follow-up? Once again, he's found himself in a spot above where there are no teammates to collapse and win. And Mindfreak to say, this is what we wanted. You've been playing so slow, so methodical, so macro-orientated, but we will find a fight, and we will do what we do best, and we will get kills. A triple kill, and now a boss, and then they have a temple to still finish up. I mean, it's the dream.
That's the dream right there. That's the opportunity that they were waiting for. And absolutely, Skimmy, it looked like everything was going to go wrong. KVA, he got the stun, yes. And they even managed to follow up with Deck of Canes to scroll the ceiling. But it wasn't going to be enough. What really just happened was that Mindfreak turned. They saw the tanks right there. They're like, okay, this is perfect. Now we can focus you down. The rest of your damage is still in that backline over there. We see them. They're nowhere near rescuing you just yet. And then Azure as well, just trying to make the plays, but he just blinked out into Ryu's open arms right there. So he just went positioned quite well for that fight, and a lot of that was just due to the temple really occupying a lot of Crimson's energies and efforts.
The big power spike here at level 16 for Yrel, the Holy Wrath. So she now packs a significant punch. Her auto attacks are amplified. They have splash damage. And every time you use one of those cooldowns, another charge comes back, so she can single-handedly take members out. And having gone for the outdoor Peacekeeper at level 13 as well, Azure jumps in, instantly that damage was reduced by 30%. This Keeper's going to fall. There's nothing they can do about it.
No, they have to let it fall right there, and a lot of that was because of how many members they lost from that fight. It was just that free boss coming in, and Mindfreak as well, they can go to that temple and just take out even more now of Crimson's base.
Yrel quite happy to do that one indeed, and why not? They can definitely afford to do so. Pick up their siege camp, that's some pressure in the bot lane. And then look to roam around the map. I don't expect to see them push this one in for a win condition just yet. They don't have any clear advantage. They had 20 on Volskaya. But this time there are no objectives for them to hop into as such, Andy. So there's not going to be that ability for them to get forced upon.
In that
they may
last
just play
fight,
patiently.
I mean, Shadow, he was holding on to that stay a while and listen for quite some time. And he did get the channel off. That 4-man signs right there. One could argue, if it happened a little bit earlier, it really could have been that window that Crimson needed to just reset their positioning right there. That's all they really needed after we saw the tanks jump in and they didn't get enough of that burst damage. To just give them that window to reset would have been invaluable.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the weaknesses we highlighted during the draft. It is very all-in, and it is very skill shot dependent. More so on the Leeming, to make sure that they can get a kill, because if they cannot, and especially with the Tranquility to top everybody up, it definitely does start to slow you down, and no better explanation than that. But Mindfreak just going absolutely crazy in that fight beforehand, and definitely grasping themselves back into this game, because before that there were only 3 kills. Now 6 to our name, and definitely Mindfreak they're slowing it down once again. Hit 20, and then we go for the all-in end.
Same for Crimson though, they managed to regain a lot of that experience that they lost in that fight right there, so they are stabilizing for themselves as well. Mindfreak though, they will be poised to hit that 20 first, and they have a small window while Crimson is at 20 to try and force something. There's an open pathway as well to that keep, Skimmy.
That's it. That's the scary part to remember. That a siege camp on Crimson's side is available in 10 seconds. You may just see Mindfreak go for the camp and sit here, and there may be a world in which Crimson go up for these temples and Mindfreak can just push on through. You may just look for that end, as these 20s, as you mentioned, are unlocked. Some big power spikes, especially for Yrel with the Unstoppable, allowing her to successfully get off some of those channels. Very channel orientated. Quite frustrating when they do not connect. But the Storm Shield from Johanna, as well as the amplified Tranquility. A lot of cooldowns and tools just to make sure that nobody dies. And the biggest one absolutely has to be the fact that now Phoenix has a second lifeline, so kind of like the unvulnerable for Johanna.
Yep.
Now she has it.
Now she has it, pretty much. That was something I was looking at as well, and also coupled with the shield, you can already see they are trying to conquer that burst that they fear so much, and that they know Crimson will try to be bringing. So that's a huge power spike that Mindfreak have acquired.
That's the Riptire. It's going to come across. Where's it going to go? Is it going to target towards this Li Ming? No, it's not. It's veering back left and right. It's juking me. It's juking them. It does finally land on towards that Muradin, but he's not going to be deterred by this one whatsoever. There's going to be a combo. Instantly massive damage by the Li Ming, but Fat94 survives. The Storm Shield coming in clutch. Azure jumps in just to get that Void Prism. It's on towards their go-to target. There's the Jet Propulsion. There is going to be the level 20 getting procced. It doesn't matter. Stay a while and listen. Well, they're just telling the minions in mid lane to stay a while because now they have a lot on their plates. They can go for tempo number 1, and based on numbers advantages, they can just go for a double cap.
Boss as well is threatening 24 seconds or so on that boss. Sorry, I was just laughing because I was just thinking of little minions just huddled around Decade, just ready to go to sleep. It was very cute. 2 temples right there, Skimmy, and as you said, Crimson are back into it, and this time they didn't rush. That was the most important thing right there. The Riptire, I was almost worried that it was doing a good job of splitting them up, but they kept their cool, and they made sure that they were still grouped up enough to have the bunker to retreat in if needed.
I mean, there have been moments when Azure and the Zeratil's been quite sketchy. He's been a little bit scared to jump in because he doesn't have that sustain, but that's all been patched now. Shadow Mending at level 20, healing for 75% of the damage he does. Like, it's ridiculous. He does not need to command the response from Shadow. Doesn't need those cooldowns from the Decade Cane. He's able to jump in and get the job done single-handedly. But as you mentioned, Bandy, that temple could not be any further away from this boss. And both teams, they're doing a bit of a dance again. It's like, you know, you make the first move. No, you make the first move. And waiting for that one player to get caught out of space.
Well, you can see as well, the Crimson won the fight. It was only one member that they took. Yes, it was still Phoenix, but so much poke and, as you said, boss control available on the side of Mindfreak, they still felt unwilling to try and risk it all on that boss. The throw pit, if you will, in moments like these. So that's just the pressure right there, but also that catapult pressure in that bottom lane is also really just keeping Crimson here. KVA tries to leave the Stormbolt onto Madhax, but he whiffs it. And now he's just a sitting duck.
He is indeed, but he does have the Stone Form at 16 to top himself up quite quickly. And that's going to be the Jet Propulsion. Instantly the cleanse comes across. Who can it go towards? That's going to be a salvo. 1 to 3 right now. Riptire's going to follow things up, but they all just hopping towards that bunker. The bunker expires. The Riptire connects. 3 members absolutely dropped upon as Jesmis is forced to back away. He needs some healing. Hacky's on the flank. Keep your eye on him. He's looking to do whatever he can. Oh, Ryu with the swing of the hammer, interrupting. Stay a while and listen. That's on a 5-second cooldown right now, but Muradin, amongst all the chaos, he gets disconnected from the rest of this Crimson lineup. He is the first one to fall on down. And Fat94, he is not finished just yet. He wants more blood, but Li Ming does manage to jump away. But suddenly, here comes Yrel jumping into downtown with Avenging Wrath, hops on a horsey, says hello. And this may be the beginning of the end as members, one by one, start to fall on down, fragmented from the rest of the squad, picked apart by Mindfreak. And 21 minutes into this game, definitely looking for that GG condition.
This seals the deal right here, Skimmy. This is the GG condition coming out now by Mindfreak. Very hard fought, very well done. This time they didn't rush. It felt like it was very, very forced there from Crimson. After that first Stormbolt whiff, they were still willing to try and get a kill right there, but Mindfreak had already repositioned. That was your signal to back off and judge the fight again. They still felt confident.
That shield misses. It misses, but doesn't matter. Li Ming's gonna die anyway.
The game is done right there. You just got Shadow. Maybe he'll read him a bedtime story in about, say, 20 seconds.
If this call survives over 20 seconds, Muradin is up and available. But that attack speed reduction is not going to be enough to slow things down right here. All the synergy, all the destruction, all the damage, it's there. And Mindfreak, they come into this series. A bit shaky at the start, but it's a repeat of phase number 1. They take out this best of 3, 2-1.
Slimmest of margins as well, all decided on that last team fight right there that we saw. And it really could have gone either way. The bunker, it worked so well to really mitigate all of the salvo damage coming their way. But it was the positioning I was most worried about. This time they rushed it again with Crimson. We saw what happens when they take their time. They make sure that they're all positioned right to have that follow-up, to have that burst. You could really see Vanilla, he was so far back and out of that fight. It was just KVA trying to get him down desperately. And then, of course, he got taken out for free while the rest of the members were being constantly zoned. Yrel as well, Skimmy, you said, getting in amongst it in that back line. So Ryu, MVP at the end of the day, making sure that there was going to be no escape and to really just stamp that GG there for Mindfreak.
Yeah, very hard to try and run away from Yrel when she has all that utility at her disposal, and definitely Ryu made them aware of that fact. A game that didn't really have much chaos in it in terms of blood, only 12 kills in a 22-minute game. Pretty unheard of when it comes to these big boys in the league. But Mindfreak, as is tradition, they take out the win. They go for the 2-1, and they can now look to try and perch themselves up in that first place spot on that leaderboard. But we're going to be jumping to a quick break. And as we return, another best of 3 series, this time Aztec taking on the Xylophone Dudes. It's going to be a banger. We'll see you soon.